I want to show you some things here. They're very delicate. I have to be careful I don't drop them and break them. Now, I wonder what these are. Do you know what these are? Anyone know?
A milk cup and a cup.
Exactly. It's a milk jug, maybe we'd call it. Would we call it a milk jug? And we call this it's a tiny, cute little cup, isn't it? Tiny, small cup. I wonder, do any of you, the girls maybe anyway, do any of you have toy tea sets? Do you have a toys tea set and you like to play with it? Maybe you like to take out the saucers and the cups. That's very important as well. Without a kitchen, you couldn't look after people either. You need the kitchen, don't you? And what you would do, of course, would be if you had a friend coming round, there might be, you'd have a teapot. I don't have a teapot with me. You'd pour the tea in, and then there'd be milk in the milk jug, and you'd pour it in the milk, and you'd offer it to the person who was visiting your house. You'd say, here's a cup of tea. Well, you might put sugar in it as well. Some people would put sugar in it. But you'd offer your guest the cup of tea to welcome them into your house. Isn't that right? And the verse that I have in God's Word today talks about what's called, it's a big word, but I'll explain what it means. It talks about offering hospitality. Now, hospitality, it says, 1 Peter, there it is up there, 4 verse 9, and you can see the teapot and the spoon and the fork and the plate, etc. there. And it says, offer hospitality to one another. Hospitality, that's a big word, isn't it? Hospitality is a big word. Can I explain it, what it means? It means to welcome people into your home, to give them even just a cup of water if they're thirsty, to give them a cup of tea and a biscuit, and sometimes to make a meal, or sometimes even to say, you're very welcome to stay at our house. Say somebody's visiting Limavady, and they need somewhere to stay, and your mummy and daddy would say, come to our house. You're very welcome to stay at our house. We'll provide you with a bed, and we'll provide you with food while you're here, and we'll make you welcome. The Lord wants us to do this. Now, how could you make people welcome in your house? What simple thing could you do? Well, maybe if another boy and girl was coming along to your house, you would say, here's a nice seat for you to sit in. You could say that, couldn't you? Or here are some of my toys that you can play with. Sometimes boys and girls say, oh, I don't want anybody coming to my house to play with my toys. That wouldn't be good, would it? To keep all your toys to yourself and not share them?
From my nursery, my friend came.
It came. Good. That's a good example. He came to your house and you made him welcome. Good. Well, that's what offering.
The cake in our house.
You had in your house, you had a cake in your house for somebody. Is that right, Leah? Yeah. Well, you welcome them to your house. You offer them just even a very simple drink, or maybe a biscuit, and you say you're welcome. Sit here, and you talk to them, and you love them. That's what hospitality is all about. And God's Word says to us that's something we should be doing, especially for people we don't know, for strangers, as we'll see, but also for those whom we do know. So here's the verse I want you to take away today. Offer hospitality to one another. 1 Peter, it's found in 1 Peter chapter 4, and it's verse 9. And I have sheets for you here today. I brought the sheets along. You have them on the computer as well, I think. I brought them along for you to colour in. There we are. And you can go back to your seats then when I give you a sheet. And thank you for coming forward. We're going to sing now a psalm of praise. Again speaks of the Lord's generosity to the land. It's Psalm 147a. Psalm 147a. Stanzas 8 to the end. The tune is Aurelia, number 230. I want to draw our attention to one particular blessing here in stanza 9 that the Lord was pouring upon the land. He gives peace to your borders. That's a great blessing. But also this one, with finest wheat fills you. Maybe hearing in the news nowadays that because of the war in Ukraine, there could be a shortage of wheat in the world, and some poor people will be getting hungry and not be able to afford bread. So we need to pray for blessing upon our world, that the wheat throughout the world will grow well, that the Lord will bless this world with the finest wheat to nourish us. Here it says, He's blessing this land, the land of Israel, with finest wheat to fill them. The generosity of the covenant God. We now sing of the man who is blessed because of his generosity. He's reflecting the character of the Lord his God, and he's a generous giver. Stanza 5 of Psalm 112b, stanza 5. With open hand, he's open-handed. With open hand, he offers to the poor. Psalm 112b, we're singing all of this portion. The tune is Eventide, number 274.